In a universe filled with intrigue and danger, a seasoned mercenary, Michael James, embarks on a mission to rescue an alien princess, Meera. Confronting a fearsome predator and navigating treacherous alliances, he faces profound ethical dilemmas. Love, loyalty, and betrayal intertwine as Michael questions whom to trust in a galaxy where secrets can shatter moral foundations. If you want to dive into real stories of parallel realities every day, in enigmatic, technological worlds that are completely different from our planet, subscribe to our channel and leave your like. Well, let's go. In the vast and uncharted expanses of the galaxy, where civilizations rise and fall like the ebb and flow of ancient tides, the abandoned station Annex stood as a silent testament to the decay of forgotten ambitions. Its cold, desolate halls whispered tales of prosperity turned to desolation. Dwarfed by the enormity of the cosmos, the station clung to the edge of existence, shrouded in shadows and echoes of a past no one remembered. Michael James, a grizzled warrior with graying hair and a stern countenance that hinted at countless battles faced and survived, was a man driven by duty and a code of honor known only to him. Renowned throughout the galaxy for his unwavering resolve and unparalleled skills, Michael's reputation as a mercenary was well earned. His rugged features bore the marks of time and conflict, a living map of trials and victories etched into his skin. His eyes, a piercing shade of blue, hid a depth of wisdom and weariness, always scanning, evaluating, and preparing for whatever may come. Enlisted for what was briefed as a standard rescue mission, he approached Annex with a professional detachment, yet an uneasy premonition gnawed at him. Navigating through the labyrinthine passages of the dilapidated station, each footstep resounded like a hollow drumbeat, a reminder of the void that enveloped him. The structures, once gleaming and bustling with life, now stood corroded and draped in darkness. Sinister echoes lurked in the recesses of the forgotten halls, the silence only broken by the occasional groan of aging metal. A faint flicker of light caught Michael's keen gaze, a beacon of desperation in the midst of this forsaken place. There, amidst the ruins and debris, he discovered Meera, a young alien girl, seemingly abandoned by her own kind. Her appearance was striking, with lavender skin that shimmered subtly under the dim lights, and eyes that held the vast, starry expanse of the universe within their depths. Her delicate form was fragile, yet there was a resilient core visible in the way she clung to a thread of hope amidst the overwhelming desolation. Her clothes were torn, clearly not suited for the cold, metallic world she found herself in. Meera's azure eyes, large and expressive, reflected years of experience beyond her apparent youth. They were windows to a soul that had witnessed more than its share of suffering. Her gaze held Michael's, a silent plea for help intertwined with a spark of resilience that defied her diminutive stature. Despite her harrowing circumstances, Meera exuded an aura of quiet dignity and strength, a testament to the lineage she bore but kept hidden. Before Michael could fully assess the situation, a poignant wave of malevolence washed over them. Emerging from the shadows, a creature of nightmarish proportions, an apex predator born from the cosmos' darkest recesses, made its presence known. Its form was fluid yet monstrous, an amalgamation of chitinous exoskeleton and sinewy flesh, eyes burning with an unholy luminescence. The beast's breath was a fetid gust, a stench that carried the promise of ruin. Michael's instincts, honed from years of combat and survival, flared into action. With a smooth, practiced motion, he positioned himself between Meera and the creature, his hands reaching for the plasma rifle slung across his back. His mind raced through combat scenarios in a split second, calculating the beast's probable weaknesses. He could feel the fear emanating from Meera, but her presence grounded him, anchoring his resolve. The predator lunged with a speed that belied its massive form, fangs glistening with venom, claws extended to rend flesh and bone. Michael fired, The weapons discharge a searing lance of energy that scorched the air. The blast struck the creature, and a primal roar of pain and rage reverberated through the corridor, but the beast was not so easily deterred. It recoiled, only to attack again, its movements now more erratic and aggressive. Michael fought with every ounce of skill and determination he possessed, the plasma rifles hum a constant companion in the deadly dance with the monster. Each blast of energy was a calculated strike aimed to buy them precious moments. Amidst the chaos, Michael was acutely aware of Meera's presence behind him, her breaths shallow and rapid, her eyes wide yet unwavering. Her trust in him was an unspoken bond that fueled his resolve. The labyrinthine corridors of Annax became a battleground. Shadows twisted and contorted with the pulse of their frantic escape. Michael's mind was a whirl of tactical planning and raw survival instinct, his every move designed to lead the predator away from the vulnerable young girl. Yet, despite his best efforts, the creature remained relentless, its tenacity a testament to its primal drive. Each narrow corridor became an arena of struggle, with Michael's professional demeanor tested against an enemy that seemed to embody the very essence of the void. The desperate chase through the abandoned station's labyrinth was a struggle against time and terror. He navigated the maze with an innate understanding of its layout, using his knowledge to outmaneuver the creature, pushing his body to the edge of its endurance. Every corner turned and every door sealed was a fleeting victory in a fight against overwhelming odds. Amid the station's decrepit halls, amidst the silence and the stench of decay, the boundary between life and death blurred into a symphony of survival. Michael knew that forward was their only direction, and survival was a goal that had to be achieved at any cost. Each step was a calculated risk, each breath a measure of defiance against the looming darkness. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of running and fighting, he found a moment's respite. A brief sanctuary in a small, dimly lit chamber, its door barricaded with debris and broken machinery. Michael hastened to create a makeshift barricade, his breath heavy and his chest burning. Meera, despite her fear, aided him with whatever strength she could muster, her slender fingers trembling yet determined. In that moment of respite, the silence was deafening, broken only by their labored breaths and the distant, echoing roars of the monster that still sought them. Michael took the opportunity to assess Meera's condition more closely. Despite the ordeal, she seemed physically unharmed, a testament to her will to survive. Her eyes, those endless pools of cosmic wonder, met his with a silent gratitude and a strength that belied her fragile appearance. Michael knew that this temporary reprieve was just that, temporary. The creature would not be deterred for long. As he strategized their next move, the reality of their desperate situation weighed heavily upon him. This was no longer a simple mission. It had evolved into a battle for survival, a fight to protect a life that had become inexplicably intertwined with his own. The stakes had transformed. The once routine rescue mission had become a profound test of his character and resilience. The fragile piece of an escape capsule offered scant solace to Michael and Meera as they spiraled aimlessly through the abyss. The vast emptiness swallowed their hopes, a grim testament to their plight. The capsule, a sterile tube of reinforced metal and plastic, was only large enough to fit their two forms, its walls littered with deep dents and scars from the previous battle. The faint hum of life support systems was a constant reminder of their precarious situation, its rhythmic pulses almost hypnotic. Michael had managed to stabilize them on a course that he hoped would intersect with a friendly vessel or, at least, a habitable planet. But in the infinite void of space, hope was as elusive as the distant stars that shimmered outside their small viewport. Stripped to basic survival, their bond fortifies, born from shared rations and the simple lessons of human language Michael taught Meera. Michael sat cross-legged, holding a protein bar in one hand and a small canteen of recycled water in the other. Meera, Her wide eyes, reflecting the dim emergency lights, observed him intently. Despite the residue of fear and sorrow etched on her face, there was a spark of curiosity that Michael found heartening. He handed her the protein bar, gesturing for her to slowly take a bite. "Eat. This will keep your strength up," he said, his voice gentle but firm. Meera mimicked his actions, tentatively nibbling at the bar and savoring its unfamiliar taste. On her home world, food was plentiful and diverse, a stark contrast to the bland rations offered here. Yet, the shared act of eating forged a connection between them. It was more than nourishment, it was a silent promise of survival together. Michael began to teach Meera simple phrases in English, their conversations starting with basic nouns and verbs. "This is water," he explained, pointing to the canteen. "Water," Meera echoed, her voice soft yet resolute. Their lessons evolved organically, blending necessity with the gentle rhythms of discovery. Food, shelter, and safe became touchstones in their growing vocabulary. Words became their bridge, binding them closer in their isolated sanctuary. As the days blend into weeks, their fragile hope is answered when a Noran vessel intercepts them. Michael had been briefed about the Norans, a technologically advanced race known for their formidable space fleet and strict adherence to protocol. Their ship, enormous and sleek, surrounded their tiny capsule like a colossal whale observing a minnow. The Noran emblem, an intricate fractal pattern, glistened ominously in the artificial light. Several Noran officers, clad in their signature blue and silver uniforms, boarded the capsule. Their presence was imposing, their expressions inscrutable. One of them, a tall figure with piercing violet eyes and an air of authority, approached Michael and Meera. Michael recognized the rank insignias, identifying the officer as Commander Leora, a name that would soon become pivotal in their unfolding story. Commander Leora's gaze shifted from Michael to Meera, her eyes narrowing as she scrutinized the young alien. Her next words were both shocking and illuminating. "Meera," she declared, "is not just another child. She is royalty, torn from her lineage by the cruel grasp of rebels." The revelation hit Michael like a gravitational shockwave, upending his perception of their journey. The Noran vessel, the Evandria, was a marvel of engineering and design. Its corridors were lined with bioluminescent panels that emitted a soothing blue glow, casting an ethereal light over everything and everyone. The ship's architecture was a seamless blend of organic curves and sharp angles, showcasing the Norans' mastery of both utility and aesthetics. As they were escorted through the ship, Michael noted the advanced technology in use, everything from the self-navigating drones that flitted about to the sophisticated medical bays equipped with devices that could heal wounds in seconds. Commander Leora led them to a secure briefing room. The walls were adorned with holographic displays showcasing star maps, fleet movements, and intelligence reports. Michael and Meera sat at a sleek, oval table, its surface displaying a rotating hologram of what appeared to be a Noran royal insignia. Leora remained standing, her presence commanding the room. "Michael James," she began, her voice steady and authoritative, "you have done a great service by rescuing Princess Meera. However, it is imperative that we understand how she came to be in your custody and the events that transpired on Anax." The implication was clear. Their story needed to be meticulously examined to ensure there were no hidden threats or misinformation. Michael recounted their ordeal, describing the desperate battle against the monstrous predator and their narrow escape from the abandoned station. He chose his words carefully, aware that any inconsistency could cast doubt on his intentions. Meanwhile, Meera sat quietly, her eyes darting between Michael and Leora, absorbing every word and gesture. As the debriefing continued, it became evident that the Norans were dealing with a significant threat. The rebels who had abducted Meera were not mere criminals. They were a well-organized faction with access to advanced technology and substantial resources. The political ramifications of Meera's kidnapping were vast, potentially destabilizing alliances and inciting conflict. Michael learned that Meera's family ruled the planet Yer, a lush world known for its beauty and strategic significance. The royal lineage there was more than a line of succession, it was a symbol of unity for the various species inhabiting the planet. The rebels' objective in kidnapping Meera seemed to be twofold: to destabilize Yer politically and to leverage her for negotiations and further insurgencies. The Norans, while grateful for her rescue, were also wary. They had been on the edge of a civil war for years, and suspicion was their constant companion. To them, Michael was an unknown variable, a mercenary whose true motivations were yet to be fully understood. Their trust had to be earned, if it could be earned at all. The time aboard the Evandria passed in a blur of debriefings, medical evaluations, and strained interactions. Michael was given a modest but comfortable quarters, a small cabin with a bunk, a desk, and limited private space. A holographic interface allowed him access to certain parts of the ship's database, but his movements were restricted, a constant reminder that he was still under scrutiny. Meera's quarters were more elaborate, befitting her status. Her room was adorned with tapestries and relics from Yer, items that had been carefully preserved and transported by the Norans in anticipation of her return. She was assigned a caretaker, Liran, a gentle Noran woman with a deep understanding of human and Urian cultures. Liran sought to ease Meera's transition, helping her navigate the complexities of her new circumstances. One evening, as Michael sat in his quarters pondering the vastness of their situation, his door chimed, a polite request for entry. The cold sterility of the Noran interrogation chamber agitated Michael's senses as he was thrust into the center of the room, his wrists bound. His usually unshakable demeanor faltered under the relentless assault of questions and accusations. A squadron of Noran officers encircled him, their cerulean uniforms modeled to denote ranks of distinct significance. The room pulsated with suspicion, a suffocating tension curling around like the grip of a vice. Michael's thoughts raced back to the fragile girl, Meera, now presumed secure elsewhere within the vessel. Yet, as an unfamiliar voice broke into Michael's consciousness, doubt tinged the events that had transpired. The voice belonged to Commander Vero, whose presence commanded absolute authority in the chamber. His piercing green eyes were unsettlingly thorough, like daggers flaying the masquerades of deceit. Desperation crept into Michael's muscled facade. The Noran soldiers, unmistakably advanced humanoids with bone-white skin and the metal of space-faring veterans, exhibited no signs of relenting. Their ruthless strategy blended psychological warfare with raw, physical torment, edging closer to fracturing Michael's resolve with each passing hour. His explanations about rescuing Meera, his very essence devoid of conspiratorial endeavors, fell upon cold, unsympathetic ears. Michael's mind spun into overdrive. His vision narrowed as he fought to maintain consciousness, and his thoughts drifted to the space station annex. Every choice he'd made, stretching back to that first encounter with Meera, played over in his mind like a war against unseen foes. The dread of potential betrayal within the Noran ranks dawned on him, a hypothesis as dangerous as traversing a black hole. Finally, amid calculated interrogations, even Vero, intent on unearthing Michael's truths, began to sense the strain in the prisoner's logic. It wasn't until whispers echoed in the dimly lit chambers, suggesting potential Noran duplicity laid bare, that a sliver of Vero's resolve waned. Michael's claims of conspiracy within the ranks weren't unfounded but rather a clandestine route to unraveling deeper treacheries. The moment of revelation found itself birthed in agonizing silence, the air dense with anticipation and doubt. Commander Vero was no fool. He understood the dire fallout of misplaced alliances. His terse deliberation fused with Michael's unbreakable resolve crafted a battlefield of minds cataloging every falter. Yet through those perilous moments of tension and suspicion rose an unanticipated clarity. Cracking through the layers of Michael's torment, clouds of plot sprung to life involving the insidious Roken, a higher echelon officer feeding vital information to the rebels. Roken's wickedness threatened the Noran integrity from within, debilitating their structured defenses. Michael's harsh journey to reveal this internal fracture had turned his own survival into a game of tactical ingenuity. The subsequent escape was less heroism and more meticulous orchestration. Michael's combat skills married his intelligence, turning the surrounding technology into an ally. Desperation born from both need and opportunity saw him disengage from his restraints, delivering swift silence to his captors. He raced down corridors bathed in low, artificial light, his steps both a signal of life and a plea for reinforcement. Stumbling into a hangar teeming with sleek fighter crafts, Michael selected one with intuitive dexterity. The fighter hummed with potential energy as if anxious to unleash its capabilities. As Michael initiated liftoff procedures, the Noran alarms clanged through the ship, amplifying the urgency of his escape. His fingers danced over the controls as the craft projected into the void, escaping moments before the hangar's bay doors crunched closed. Communication systems flared to life. Michael's coded distress signal soared across the ether towards Captain Olivia Thompson, the epitome of reliability and resourceful immediacy. Olivia, her leadership defined by sharp intellect and unwavering loyalty, promptly mobilized a counterstrike contingent. It wasn't mere combat engagement but an orchestrated act of solidarity against subterfuge threatening to destabilize their interstellar coherence. High amidst the backdrop of stars, Michael's navigation transitioned from pure survival to acute focus. Every cosmic rock parsed through navigation systems, each manual adjustment cleaving his course closer to the coordinates vulnerable yet insurmountable by causality. Battle-worn reflexes tingled through each evasive maneuver, illustrating the true artistry of human tenacity against spatial peril. It was then communication erupted with Olivia's voice, marked by yanked professionalism, weaving a thread of hope through Michael's plight. Instructions exchanged through secure channels initiated precise coordination. Olivia's tactical mind steered their interstellar alliance towards this crucial juncture. Her vessel, a marvel of human Noran engineering collaboration, cut through the space like an arrow chasing its mark. Michael's flight concluded with a hasty yet intricate touchdown on the hostile planet. Settled amidst torrents of barren landscape, the world echoed the sacrifices of endless warfare, a testament to the remnants of conflict turning to quiet devastation. Ruins of ancestral technology lay interspersed within uncovered tombs, revealing both legacy and caution. It was among this litany of decay and residual danger Michael sensed potential amidst the relics, an ancient ship crowned with abandoned yet functional advanced weaponry. The ship's schematic fused seamlessly with his battle-hardened experience, rendering tactics forged through conflict intermixed with anticipation. Meera, though hidden within the layers of conflict, became his beacon of resolve. Their infiltration into the rebel den cast through labyrinthine corridors seething with insurgent life demanded every iota of Michael's guile. Vigilance marked their steps through patrols and encrypted checkpoints, as facades of strength proved more than mere reflexes but calculated measures birthed from necessity. Encountering surges of insurgents, Michael and Meera's journey danced precariously on the razor's edge of survival. Tension crescendoing, Olivia's arrival with her contingent embodied the timely prelude to chaos transforming into strategic combat, the atmosphere crackling with blaster fire and kinetic confrontation. The culmination erupted in moments where tides oscillated between grim finality and dynamic resurgence. Olivia's integrated tactics dismantled the insurgent aggression layer by layer, surrounding their purpose into flares of calculated retribution. A pivotal spectacle unfolded in the stark confrontation with the malevolent Zoran, once perceived as a seismic force within the rebellion, now unmasked as Meera's half-brother. This narrative escalation led their moral compass to the brink, loyalty clashing viscerally with vengeance-fueled ambition. Their familial bond struggled against the torrent of Zoran's radical mindset, a testament to unconquerable loyalty defying insidious bloodline whispers. As battle commenced anew within the hijacked Noran vessel, Michael and Olivia stood against Zoran's machinations, the air dense with conflicting ideologies rendered lifelike through strategy and will. Blaster volleys collided within metallic confines, forming a delicate ballet between chaos and precision. The ship's hangar bay was a cacophony of activity. Anti-gravity loaders hummed as they transported supplies, and technicians hurriedly prepared crafts for the next wave of missions. Michael James, disheveled but determined, adjusted his flight suit, his gaze locked on the hostile planet's surface below. The volatile atmosphere of the rebel stronghold planet crackled with an otherworldly energy, swirling with violent storms and treacherous terrain. The drop ship descended rapidly, piercing through the upper layers of the atmosphere like a dagger through flesh. Aboard, Meera, once a symbol of fragility, sat in stoic silence. Her sapphire eyes, brimming with an unprecedented fire, were focused on the holographic map projected in front of them. Their destination was a sinister relic of warfare, an ancient, heavily fortified ship that was now a strategic base for the insurgent forces. The clank of the ship's landing gear echoed through the bay as Michael and Meera readied themselves. With a hiss, the ramp lowered, revealing a desolate landscape. Jagged peaks erupted from the ground like the bony fingers of a buried giant, and the wind howled through the canyons, carrying the scent of scorched earth. Meera adjusted her breathing apparatus as Michael took point, his weapon at the ready. Navigating through the rocky terrain, Michael's training came to the forefront. His senses were heightened, his movements precise and calculated. He signaled for Meera to stay close, ever mindful of the dangers that lurked in the shadowed crevices. The hidden ship, an ancient Warhawk cruiser, loomed in the distance, its form partially buried under centuries of dust and debris. The assault began with a flash of coordinated fury. The rebels, alerted to the intrusion, mobilized quickly. Michael's pulse quickened as they engaged, blaster fire lighting the darkened passages. The ancient ship's architecture was a maze of decayed corridors and rusted bulkheads, a haunting reminder of past conflicts. Michael moved with fluid grace, dispatching adversaries with lethal efficiency. Each step brought them closer to the heart of the enemy's stronghold. Meera's role was equally critical. Her understanding of the rebels' language and customs allowed her to decode markings and bypass rudimentary security systems. Her presence, once a liability, was now an invaluable asset. The two advanced deeper into the bowels of the ship, drawing closer to their objective. A labyrinthine hall stretched out before them, its walls adorned with surreal, bioluminescent flora that pulsed rhythmically, casting eerie shadows. Michael and Meera pressed on, their path illuminated by the faint glow. Ahead, the unmistakable sounds of a bustling command center echoed down the corridor. The door they approached was heavily guarded, the sentinels primed and vigilant. With a nod, Michael activated a disruption device, sending a pulse of energy to scramble the guards' communicators. Chaos erupted as their earpieces crackled with interference. In the ensuing confusion, Michael and Meera struck, a blur of synchronized precision. The guards fell swiftly, overwhelmed by the assault. Inside the control room, Meera quickly interfaced with the central terminal. Her fingers danced across the panel, accessing encrypted files and schematics. Michael kept watch, his eyes scanning for any threat. The discovery was both harrowing and enlightening. Meera unearthed a revelation that sent chills down their spines. Zoran, the mastermind of this insurgency, was no ordinary rebel. He was Meera's half-brother, driven by vengeance and an insatiable thirst for power. The true horror of Zoran's vision became clear. Holographic projections detailed his plans for a galactic uprising, a coordinated assault on key planets and civilizations, leveraging advanced weaponry from ancient arsenals. The execution of this plan would plunge the galaxy into chaos, rendering the fragile peace a distant memory. Suddenly, the clamor of boots echoed through the hall outside. Michael and Meera's time was running out. They seized a critical data core, one that held the blueprints to Zoran's plan. As the door to the command center was breached, Michael laid down suppressive fire, allowing Meera to complete the data transfer. They fled through a concealed exit, narrowly evading capture. Outside, the violent storms had intensified, lightning dancing across the sky in a deadly ballet. Their journey to the extraction point was riddled with obstacles. The ground trembled as explosions from the ongoing skirmishes reverberated through the terrain. Michael and Meera, fueled by adrenaline, navigated the perilous path with unwavering resolve. The extraction point came into view, and with it, the cavalry, Captain Olivia Thompson's forces arriving in a blaze of glory. Olivia herself, a commanding presence with steely eyes and unwavering determination, led the charge. Her forces engaged the insurgents, providing the crucial distraction Michael and Meera needed. Amidst the ferocity of battle, alliances were tested and forged. Olivia's tactical prowess turned the tide, her commands sharp and decisive. Michael joined the fray, his combat experience and unrelenting spirit driving him forward. Meera, though not a warrior by training, found herself emboldened by the courageous acts that surrounded her. She took up arms, her shots precise, her purpose clear. The climax of their assault was the confrontation with Zoran. The malevolent leader stood atop the ancient ship's bridge, his silhouette framed by the violent tempest. His eyes, identical to Meera's in color but contrasting in intent, burned with a sinister rage. The clash of ideologies was imminent. The battle that ensued was a brutal testament to their resolve. Zoran's forces, though formidable, were hampered by their leader's overconfidence. Michael and Olivia's troops advanced with ruthless efficiency, overpowering the rebels. Zoran, witnessing his dwindling command, turned to his last line of defense, himself. The final standoff between Michael, Meera, and Zoran was a brutal and visceral encounter. Blades clashed, and energy weapons hummed with lethal anticipation. Zoran's strength was unyielding, his rage a palpable force. Yet, it was Meera's resolve that ultimately tipped the scales. Her heritage, once a point of contention, became her source of strength. She faced Zoran not as a sibling, but as a ruler fighting for her people's future. The pivotal moment arrived as Zoran, poised to deliver a fatal blow, hesitated, caught off guard by Meera's unwavering stance. In that split second, Michael seized the opportunity, delivering a critical strike that disarmed Zoran. The battle pivoted, Zoran's defeat became inevitable. As the dust settled and the echoes of combat faded, the gravity of their situation weighed heavily on them. Zoran, now restrained and defeated, was a shadow of his former self. Meera, standing over her fallen brother, was a vision of somber triumph. The climactic standoff on board the hijacked Noran vessel entwines destiny with duty. As the ship drifts through the haunting silence of deep space, Michael and Olivia's crew face the mounting tension with steely resolve. The echoes of previous battles reverberate through the metallic corridors, a stark reminder of the violent struggle for control that now defines their mission. In the command center, Michael briefs the team, each word charged with the gravity of their undertaking. Olivia stands by, her ever-present stoicism masking a torrent of emotions. The plan is simple, yet fraught with peril. A synchronized assault to retake the control center, deactivate the ship's weapon systems, and topple Zoran's reign of terror. The shadows stretch long in the dim, flickering lights of the Noran vessel, cast by the skeletal frames of bulkheads and the twisted remains of the recent battle. Hushed whispers of strategy and the soft hum of advanced weaponry preparing for combat punctuate the silence. Michael's gaze sweeps over his team, lingering momentarily on Meera. Her transformation from a frightened girl into a resolute figure of defiance is nothing short of remarkable. Clad in a makeshift suit of armor scavenged from the fallen, she stands as a beacon of hope amidst the desolation. They move as one, down the labyrinthine passages, their steps synchronized with the pulsing rhythm of the ship's failing power core. The ship itself seems to resist their advance, creaking and groaning as if under the strain of the conflict within. Each corner turned could unveil an ambush, and every junction crossed is a testament to their unwavering resolve. Upon reaching the central command hub, their presence triggers the final engagement. Zoran, flanked by his loyalists, stands at the heart of the chaos. The air cracks with the discharge of laser fire, a deadly ballet of light and death. Michael's eyes lock onto Zoran, a visceral hatred mirrored in the latter's cold, calculating stare. This was more than a battle for control of a ship. It was a confrontation of ideals, a struggle to define the future. The clash is intense, each side vying for dominance amidst the volatile environment of the damaged vessel. The intrinsic sounds of advanced weaponry, a symphony of destruction, resonate through the confines of the ship. Panels explode, conduits spray sparks, and the scent of ionized metal fills the air. Michael's team fights with a calibrated ferocity, a blend of human tenacity and advanced combat proficiency. They leverage every technological advantage, deploying shields, drones, and encoded disruptors to turn the tide in their favor. The core of the battle erupts around the ship's critical systems. Olivia's tactical genius shines as she orchestrates the assault, her commands precise and unyielding. She directs them to target key nodes, crippling the ship's offensive capabilities. Meera's role, crucial and perilous, involves deactivating the core systems while under heavy fire. Her hand hovers momentarily over the controls, a brief hesitation as the magnitude of her actions weigh on her. With a final breath, she commits, fingers dancing over the console as system by system powers down, plunging the vessel into relative quiet. As the momentum shifts, Zoran, cornered but indomitable, rallies his forces for a desperate counterattack. His presence is a maelstrom of rage and determination, a dark crescendo that threatens to undo their progress. In the ensuing melee, Michael and Zoran find themselves locked in a brutal hand-to-hand combat. The clash of metal against flesh and the wet thud of impacts punctuate their struggle, each blow laden with the weight of familial betrayal and conflicting visions. Meera watches, torn between allegiance and the haunting bond of blood. The tension escalates to a fever pitch when Zoran, disarmed but far from defeated, reaches for a concealed weapon. Time seems to slow as Meera steps forward, her voice cutting through the chaos. A plea, a command, a final bid for peace. Zoran's sneer falters, confusion clouding his expression as his grip loosens on the weapon. In that suspended moment, Meera drives home the truth. Strength is not mere power, but integrity and compassion. Her words echo through the chamber, a litany of hope and defiance that reverberates through the ship's corridors. Zoran, faced with the undeniable force of her conviction, hesitates. It is in this heartbeat of uncertainty that Michael acts, delivering the final blow that sends Zoran sprawling. The sight of Zoran, defeated and vulnerable, casts a pall over the victory. The crew's triumph is tempered with the knowledge of the choices that led them here. The Noran vessel, once a symbol of rebellion and strife, now drifts in silence, a testament to the pyrrhic nature of their victory. As the adrenaline ebbs, Meera approaches her fallen half-brother, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Zoran's breaths come in labored gasps, the fire within him dimming. He reaches out, a gesture that speaks of lost chances and shattered dreams. Meera takes his hand, her touch gentle and forgiving, a quiet epitaph to the man he could have been. The aftermath is a sobering reflection on the cost of war and the fragile nature of peace. The crew works to stabilize the ship, their movements efficient yet tinged with the weight of recent events. The survivors start to rebuild, patching the physical wounds of the vessel while nursing their own emotional scars. In the quiet of the bridge, Michael and Olivia stand together, their gazes fixed on the vast expanse of space beyond. The stars, distant beacons in the void, seem to whisper of possibilities yet unrealized. Their mission may be complete, but the journey, as with all great odysseys, continues. The closing scenes of this chapter linger on Meera, her figure framed against the backdrop of the cosmos. She is a symbol of resilience, her legacy not defined by her lineage but by the choices that shaped her path. The Noran vessel, under her newfound guidance, charts a course for an uncertain but hopeful future. In this epic saga of sacrifice and discovery, you'll uncover how the tenacity of the human spirit can eclipse the void of space and the treachery lurking among the stars. The end of one journey is but the beginning of another, as bravery and loyalty redefine the very fabric of trust and betrayal in the limitless expanse of the galaxy. If you liked this story based on real events, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like it. Here you can dive into a different reality every day, where anything can happen. Comment below what kind of story you would like to hear here. Thank you very much for your attention. We are the Sci-Fi family.